Hello! And welcome to episode 38 of Modern Media Review, the podcast that's not afraid to stick a can of beer up a duck's arse. In the kitchen, that is, and only for flavour, when we're cooking, which is what we're going to be talking about this week. I'm Robin Gibson.
And I'm Sean Gollogly.
And I've never stuck a can of beer up a duck's arse, Sean. That was on MasterChef.
Yeah, you were saying that. I mean, I've never even heard of that.
But it's an interesting technique. And this week, we're talking about cooking with Paris. Paris being Paris Hilton. Hashtag cooking with Paris. Her new YouTube series we started last week.
Which is fabulous.
But she doesn't reach that level of technique. She's making a lasagna, which a lot of people probably know already that she's made a lasagna. So we'll talk about her actual technique later on, but initial impressions, Sean, because I looked at this and I thought, I don't know much about Paris Hilton anyway, and I thought, this is hilarious. It was like a work of, whether it's intentional or not, I don't know, a work of comedy genius. And in the middle of Brexit and the Tories and all the disaster and the wars we've all forgotten about, like Syria and Ukraine, to get so much enjoyment from something so vacuous and dull-brained was such a breath of fresh air. I say fresh air, but I haven't researched her, but it might be a breath of one of her. Apparently she's launched about 20 perfumes. Can, Passport, Dazzle, Gold Rush, Bus Shelter, that was a good one. And the one she used in the video, Unicorn Mist.
I like that one.
I'm going to get some of that.
It looked like it smelled lovely. Although I'm not sure, because as she was spraying herself, she was covering her lasagna in perfume as well. I don't know if that was an intentional ingredient.
She was trying to get rid of the yucky smell of the cooking, because she obviously doesn't really like cooking. Some people might say this is just drivel, mightn't they? And it's a bit desperate.
Well, it is slightly desperate because although she pretends that, and anyone who knows her would know that she is a fantastic cook, she says, and she spent years and years watching her mother cook.
Apparently, even people who don't know her know she's a fantastic cook. I'm a bit confused because the intro was a bit tangled up.
Well, she gets the thing that is really funny about it is that she seems to get bored with everything after about 5 seconds.
That's what I like about it. It's got this kind of blank generation feel about it. That's a USP in it. It's total lack of irony or being... She's too bored to be smart. I mean, it's sort of utter pointlessness. It's like nihilism, isn't it? It's like she's thinking about putting herself in the oven, not the lasagna.
I know. And as well as that, it seems like even breathing is a chore. Everything's so difficult. Also, I don't know if you've noticed, but any time you see a celebrity's kitchen, it never looks like it's had anything cooked in it, or even if the taps... Well, I'm not even sure if the taps are connected to water, you know?
She doesn't know what's in the kitchen anyway, because it's not her bloody kitchen, is it? She actually says, this is my first time cooking here, and she can't find anything. Although I'm not sure she actually knows what it looks like when she comes across it.
Well, she used a very impressive array of utensils, some of which I've never seen before.
Well, she picked up a sort of spatula type thing and said, I don't know what this is, but I'm going to use it anyway. Anyway, the point is, like, you get the feeling, right, that she's doing this to stay in the public view, don't you?
It's a tough one because Paris must be the blueprint of these people that got famous for being famous. But the trouble for her is that her audience must be switching off because she's 38 now and there can't be many 38-year-old women looking to see how Paris makes lasagna, although this has got 3 million views already.
Yeah, and it's got more than... Their previous one on our YouTube channel was Paris Pimps Her Ride. Equally amusing because she gets this BMW i8, which is quite flash. It says it's the car of her dreams, even though in her bio on Wikipedia it says she doesn't own a BMW. So that must have just been...
Another more product placement.
She just sort of puts bits of sticky back plastic on it and then gets some mechanics to do a spray job on it. That got less than 1 million views. So the cooking is obviously her calling, isn't it?
Ah, yeah. Comedy is her calling.
But having said that, she is struggling because her channels only get 300,000 subscribers, which surprised me because my favourite rapper from Birmingham, Lady Leisha, a British Birmingham rapper, she's got over 1 million subscribers. So poor Paris.
She is struggling.
Yeah, although she's turning out works of comedy genius.
How would she follow this up, though?
Well, I don't know. She said she's going to do more next week, but she hasn't appeared, which is a bit like us, isn't it? But what I was thinking is, does this say anything to us about where we are now? The art of it. We've got a vacuous person, not known for having any discernible talent, launching a cookery series where it's quite clear she's got no ability
in the kitchen
for cooking.
It seems that she could turn her hand to anything. I'm looking forward to the next one where she tells you how she's going to rewire the house, you know.
But that's the point. She can't turn her hand to anything. She can turn her hand to nothing. Now, compare her to Nicholas Parsons, who died yesterday.
Yes.
He hosted a radio show for 97 years or something like that. He did all sorts of genres. And last night I watched a documentary, did a very delightful, erudite documentary about a watchmaker in Revolution era France. He could turn his hand to anything. He was equally vacuous.
But nobody is going to be watching that documentary about revolutionary era watchmaking, you know?
Probably not 3.2 million, admittedly.
No, who will watch Paris Hilton make a hash of cooking lasagna?
It's hard for me to compare because part of the reason I liked it is I know absolutely bugger all about Paris Hilton. But now I've had a look at her resume, which is remarkable, straight-to-video movies and winning those golden raspberries or whatever they're called for worst film and stuff. That's a long charge sheet. It's about as uplifting as reading a rap sheet of some knife thug in the Paisley Daily Express. It's all pretty bad stuff, but I sort of like the fact that she's 38, as you said, and she's branching out. Most people just get stuck in a rut of like sex tapes, straight to DVD films and perfume launches. She's trying to do something different.
I was surprised how old she is, but then I guess at least she's not flogging the same old songs around the world like Madonna at the moment.
But you say, okay, she's 38, she's middle-aged, but I think there's a sort of, well, in the old days it was middle-aged, but I think there's a bit of sexism here. I mean, Madonna gets a lot of flack, for example, for being old. But you know, Phil Collins doesn't.
No. Is he still in the country?
Apparently he's not very well.
No, he had to be pushed onto stage on a wheelchair on his Not Dead Yet latest tour.
He did threaten to leave if there was a Labour government, so I presume he left in 97.
Actually, I'm just looking here, he's in Switzerland, which sort of like would suit his sort of mentality, I think.
I find the whole thing interesting because I noticed that Paris Hilton's been named as one of the 10 most fascinating people. Who is being fascinated by this person?
You and me at the moment.
Well, no, I'm not fascinated. I'm fascinated by the phenomenon, but not her as a person.
I don't think if you sat down and had dinner with her that you'd be getting very far, would you? Would you get much conversation? You
don't know. She acts like an airhead, but she's obviously reasonably smart.
I don't know. She can't finish a sentence, Robin.
Well, she doesn't have to.
Like it's beyond.
Do you think that that's just a hip turn of phrase?
Well, talking of which, what is sliving?
Sliving's her word, apparently. It's a cross between slaying it and living.
Yeah.
So it's like, living the La Vida, whatever it is.
The other thing that was...
I looked it up.
Yeah.
And it is a real word. It's an English dialect, and it actually means slicing and cutting. And given that she said it while she was slicing and cutting...
Maybe she's a bit smarter than we give her credit for.
Yeah.
I'll tell you the other thing that I always do when I'm cooking is dangle a pet over the saucepan so it can drop all its hairs in there whilst it's wearing a French maid's outfit.
Well, it's only wearing a little coat saying Chanel.
But weirdly, have you noticed that the dog changes halfway through the video?
Yeah, there's the two little dogs and a cat appears. I mean, it's the right menagerie in this kitchen, isn't it? And the hygiene's all over the place. She never washes her hands or anything.
Oh, and the other thing was, she was telling you how to prepare pasta for the lasagna. And she said normally she likes to get the fresh stuff, which sort of makes sense. But I thought what immediately crossed my mind was that when she said usually she gets the fresh stuff, it's brought in by a bloke from a kitchen who's called a waiter, because there's no way that this woman does any cooking.
Well, despite the fact that she sort of flounces around the kitchen waving her arms about, she does know how to make lasagna, even though she doesn't put any onions or garlic or herbs in it. So it's...
Well, she forgot to put them in.
No, she just said she's not having it. I don't think she likes them.
Tomatoes, wasn't that just a cooking sauce?
Everything came out of a packet or a jar.
How much cheese did she have? She must have had a cheese mountain of her own.
She did say, I've had a long day as usual.
Yeah, I wonder what Paris does all day.
Well, it's hard to say.
I think she must do a lot of posting, because she was posting while she was cooking, wasn't she?
Well, that's what I loved about it. Halfway through, she took a photo of the cheese and said, "I'm just letting you all know on Twitter that I'm cooking my infamous lasagna." And then she went, "This is the crucial stuff, isn't it?" She goes, "Hashtag cooking with Paris, hashtag chef Paris, hashtag Paris lasagna." No, don't use that. It sounds beyond.
This woman has her own language.
She called the spoons brutal.
Yeah.
And also everything was brutal. Although I did notice when she put too much oil in the pan and then wiped it with the kitchen towel, that's what I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she has got some useful little hacks for cooking. Well, I like the fact that she randomly looked in this cupboard, found that, didn't know really what it was, but sort of it looked cool, you know?
Because it's not her kitchen, that's why.
What's she doing in there?
It's been set up for her. Someone else was there as well, because you heard them after she'd got the whole bloody thing in the oven and get it going. Some voice off said, "Oh, it's perfect." Well, it did look all right, but it's just a lasagna, isn't it?
It must have been bland as anything.
Well, it was a challenge for her, and probably the most famous quote that's going to come out of this is where she said, she doesn't get her points across very clear. She says, "Lasagna's really hard to make." Well, I don't think so, but people think it is, but I think it's fun and easy. But I guess it's a lot of steps compared to, like, making toast or something, which is true.
Which is very true.
So she asked you for more ideas.
And I would be tempted to send something in, Robin. You're a bit of a food buff. What would you...
Yeah, I thought roast turbot with a dash of jelly, wrapped around crab salad, a charred pickled cucumber and fresh sea herbs. Finished with a lobster consomme and a seaweed aroma.
Yeah, that sounds easy.
There's an issue here because she said see you next Monday, but she hasn't appeared. As I said, it's just like us.
we don't turn up for 10 or 12 days.
But overall, this has got to say something about the culture in general, hasn't it?
Well, it's brain dead.
You were saying someone said to you that they're inattentive students.
Yes.
Had said they couldn't be bothered studying because they were just going to be vloggers anyway.
That's right. Yeah, that's
and I was
right.
thinking, well, this is the modern version of vlogging of when we were kids. You see, you wanted to be a pop star or a pro footballer.
Well, this is the problem. You look at it and you think, I could do that, and you could do it.
Well, make lasagna.
Be so unintentionally funny. It must be very hard to do that.
But the thing about this is she's not actually a vlogger. She's miles ahead. Kids who set out to be vloggers are giving themselves a hard target.
Oh, massively.
All Paris does is just be a celebrity. She's not really vlogging. That is no cookery instruction video, is it?
There was some brilliant product placing on it, though.
Well, mainly her own unicorn mist, which she sprayed around to.
Well, she then, with no shame at all, drank that drink at the end and said how she loved it, and then showed us what it was. I don't know, it reminded me in many ways of, remember the Bros documentary that was a surprise hit and had great comedic value where none was intended, I don't think.
I think you're half right in that they did say some daft things. But they tried to talk in aphorisms, didn't they? They tried to have little sayings, whereas she's just kind of waffling on. And she's so bored and she yawns halfway through it.
It's almost like you expect her to turn on a heel and just leave the kitchen.
Yeah, I know. I mean, the fact is, as a video, it's absolutely appallingly bad, isn't it? And I'll bet you any money that at the end of it, someone said, "That's rotten," and she went, fuck it. I'm not doing it again. Let's just go with it.
Stick it out.
The good thing is there's people on Twitter who've actually tried making this.
No way.
And said it tastes good, yeah. It reminded me of a really brutal show which was in the 90s, I think, called Get Stuff. Do you remember that?
Superb. Yes.
It was like sort of scruffy sort of squatters making toasted cheese. I looked a couple of them up on YouTube and they're absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, they are.
I noticed that they always washed their hands in every episode.
They did and made a big point of it, but Paris didn't, not even after handling raw meat.
Having said that, the one I looked up that was the best from Get Stuffed was called Corn Flaky Bakey. I can't believe they made this. It was a vegetable bake. I mean, they always made things that were like very cheap, didn't they? Like,
yeah.
You could always make it with a loaf and a tin of beans and a few added extras.
And it was always quick. It was the sort of things that when you got back from the pub and you were starving, hungry, and hadn't had enough money to buy a kebab, that you could open up the cupboard and chuck in a load of random things. And
it was all for sort of student-y or unemployed people, wasn't it? And The thing is, the cornflakey bakey, a vegetable bake with cornflakes on top. I don't fancy that, mate.
It was a little bit better than when I was a student and money was tight. There's a mate of mine who would prepare pasta with margarine.
Ugh.
Yeah, that was pretty grim.
Well, that's what you did, isn't it? I was never a student, so I didn't have to do things like that.
I went out, got on my bike.
What I was thinking about Get Stuffed, though, was that it does say something about culture, because that's, 25 years ago? Something. It's got to be the mid-90s when that was on.
Yeah.
It's non-celebrity culture, isn't it?
Yes.
It's just some kind of no-marks doing it.
Well, the thing is that they don't want to see nobodies doing it anymore, do they?
Well, we're doing it.
Well, we're famous as well.
No, we're not famous. But on the whole, I'm very much looking forward to the second episode.
I can't wait.
And on the whole, I'm feeling there won't be one.
Ah.
Don't you think?
I think probably not. Well, it certainly won't be her pushing.
I think she's going to be bored after the one episode.
She gets bored after 3 seconds of anything, I think.
Now that I've read her whole bio, I can find out how much money she earns. Not quite sure how, but I don't think she'll be bothered about doing another cookery class.
I think she should do another documentary about living on the farm.
Yeah, she was in The Simple Life. I read about that, where she went and lived on it. If that's her in a kitchen for 15 minutes, God knows what she's like on a farm for a month. But her last outing in cinema, this doesn't include her playing herself as a judge on reality shows and stuff. Her last outing as an actor was in a straight-to-DVD movie called The Dog Who Saved Christmas Vacation. And she doesn't play a person, she plays a dog.
Brilliant.
A poodle called Bella. It's a sequel to The Dog Who Saved Christmas. Sounds great.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to go round to my local... Oh, no, Blockbuster's gone, isn't it?
Afraid so, Sean, yeah.
Well, I thought, seeing as we would get stuffed and back in the 90s, just pop out to Blockbuster, you know?
Well, there'll be videos round at your local newsagent, won't there? You always got a rack in the corner.
Well, maybe I could go to the local library and rent one.
Yes, will you do that? I think we've talked enough about Paris Hilton now.
Yeah, I think we've overdone it, Paris.
But it was brilliant. It's brilliant. It's well worth...
So
if you
watchable.
haven't seen it, it's well worth watching.
Yeah.
Before we go, we need to do what we didn't do at the beginning and not only thank people for listening, but remind you to subscribe.
Yes, which Paris did at the end of hers.
Did she not do it at the beginning?
No, at the end.
Oh, maybe we're doing the right thing then. We're on YouTube, we're on Spotify, we're on Apple, we're on Google, we've got a website, and we're all over the place. So please join in, enjoy Modern Media Review in general.
Yeah, cheers for that.
Yeah, and we'll be back soon. Like next Monday.
What? That's so beyond.
Sorry, I don't want to be beyond.
Cheers then.
And thanks for listening. Bye.